Tommy with the Hobby Squad here with sponsor player Kevin. How did we do today at locals?
We did good. We went undefeated. We went 5-0. Played against some pretty good players, some pretty solid players.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, the deck list was tier, Sprite. Yeah, just tier Sprite basically with some stuff in there. You'll get to that. Alright, so we'll start off here with the packages. Played 2 of this guy, 3 of her. She's like the best one, especially because she's 2.
True.
3 and 3. You want to play like 3 of the ones that trigger. This guy needs like other things to trigger. The normal summon's really cool, but a lot of times you find yourself normal summoning her instead because the fact that she's a 2 lets you extend more, especially if you get to your Sprite plays. And then to follow up that package, 3 of the field spell because it's nutty interruptions and searching. And then I only played 1 of the trap card. Because I'm playing Sprite, I don't find myself searching this, needing to play around Dark Rulers or Super Polys as much because the Sprite portion of it lets me search Smashers and Starters and lets me play around Dark Ruler and Super Poly and through it a lot easier. So I find myself just searching this when I already have like a pretty loaded hand. But my end board doesn't usually consist of this, but it's a really good card nonetheless, especially to trigger out the big guy. Alright, and then we got probably my favorite part of the deck was the Sprite package, 1 of each, 3 starters and the 1 smashers. This has been phenomenal for me. Starter on its own just puts in so much work. Like you can end on a board of like double Toad with the smashers really easily. For example, one of the plays I opened up a pretty good hand of Tearlament plays. My opponent double DD crowed my 2 Tearlament effects, and then I just activated starter, ended up on smashers, elf and Toad.
Yeah,
and
nuts.
He, with his cards left in hand, he literally had no way to play through that. So even through hand traps, I mean this is really good. This with the Merly is really good because Merly is just ridiculously good. Just the fact that it's a level 2 is really awesome. And then when you play these, you pretty much have to play these guys here. The Toad package, super phenomenal. Love the Toad package. The fact that these are aquas that you can use to fusion summon with your geyser is amazing. And just like a lot of times I found myself discarding a Rhino Heart to special summon this. And then literally just because Rhino Heart's a water, and then just going off that way. Just dumping a Ronin and then going into elf plays and such. So that part is not very like exciting, but the part that I decided to do, I decided to play a hand trap lineup. Pretty sizable in my mind. 2 Ash, 2 DD Crows, 2 Nibs, and 2 Imperms. These were really good. The Ashes, the Imperms, and the DD Crow were amazing. The Nib, never really got to use the Nib because these right here already pretty much handled my mirror match. But when I did see Nib, I felt so safe. I felt like no matter what happens, I'm not going to lose this game. And everybody's playing into Nib, basically. Sometimes even like Sprite players will play into Nib. Even if you just like hand trap one time, they pretty much have to like play into Nib. So, well, they don't have to, but a lot of times I see them making a very greedy play, like the Diva searching the Ash. And that pretty much is really good. And then along with that, for going second, 3 Super Polys, and then also 3 Dark Ruler No Mores. So in total we had 14 going second cards, pretty much. So these are really good. Going first, the deck was awesome. Going second, I felt safe all the time. And then lastly, 1 Instant Fusion because it's like
The God card.
It's the God card. It's full combo on its own. It's a really nice starter. That was pretty much the main deck.
So you want to do questions now or after?
Oh, we can do it after.
Okay.
And go into the extra here. The fusions, 1 big guy. He's really cool, but your end board doesn't always consist of him unless your hand is the nuts. This one's ridiculous. I love this card. This is like your everything. This is your Stratos, your extender, your everything. Love this card. It's phenomenal, especially being able to shuffle back your materials so you can reuse them as like a stepping stone. Super poly target and a stepping stone in your combos is really nice. Likewise with this, I mean, these cards are just amazing. Not much to say about that. Then we played Double Elf for the Lynx, and then along with that, for that engine, we played the 1 Gigantic and the 1 Toad. Not much to say about this. This package on its own is just so oppressive because, like I said, you force your opponent to answer your TEARLAMENTS stuff, and if they do, or if they just can't answer your TEARLAMENTS stuff, you're obviously winning. But if they do, then you just go into this, and then after, with the dwindled resources they have, even just double Toad is just phenomenal. For the remainder, we had IP, we had a Dark, we had the 4s here. These guys are really cool. Didn't really go into this one because I didn't play against much back row decks, but this would have been the play here. But I did go into this one against Sprite, and I went into this one against a hero deck, so this is really cool. And then lastly, the 2 Exceeds.
Nice.
Side deck, the 3rd Nib, 2 Sphere Modes. Sphere Modes came in one time, never saw it, never needed it. The Nib is amazing because a lot of people, like I said, they don't have decks that play under Nib anymore, except for the exception of like Sprite, but everybody else pretty much walks into Nib, meta-wise. Then we played 2 Lightning Storm. I played a bunch of back row removal for this format, or not for this format, but for this tournament. There's just a lot of floodgates in this locals, so I played as many like back row as I could. The 1 Galaxy, 1 Twister as like a quick play, in case they were running like anti-spot, wanted to not be caught with my hands down. 1 Red Reboot, and 3 Evenly.
True.
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff there. And then for going first, 3 Pointer and the 1 Counter Trap.
Nice. Nice. Anything you would change about the side?
Yeah, I would change a lot of things to the side depending on the tournament that I'm going into. This is like locals based side.
Yeah.
Really
looks pretty solid.
A lot of back row hate, but
yeah.
If I was playing in a more bigger bigger tournament, I definitely would change up the side a lot.
Okay.
Probably like Gammas. I really like Gamma.
True. Shout out TheHobbySquad. See ya. Yeah, so any hard matchups today? Anything about matchups?
Yeah, actually, so my round 1 was a danger tier matchup, and that was a Swift 2-0. He didn't do anything wrong. I mean, the hand traps, when you set up your board, even if they dark ruler you, like I said, you have smashers set, you have starters set, and then you have like 1 hand trap, like a DD Crow or an Ash, and then they can't really play through that. I mean, once you have that set up, and on top of that, you put a hand trap on there, it really makes it hard for them.
I noticed, like, instead of like Hoban's list, you did no punk stuff. Like, would you do that again in the future?
Yeah, so I was playing a very similar list to Hoban, very slimmed down with the punks, this whole package, and like basically like no hand traps. And I just wasn't seeing success. I was seeing that a lot of times the punk aspect of it, you know, you would either, if you don't have it, and then you would mill it off like a deer note or a piece that you needed.
Yeah, I can see that being problematic.
Off of it became annoying and stuff like that, and I just didn't want to run into that problem as much. E-Telly, when it goes off, is phenomenal.
It's insane,
it's an insane combo. I really like it, but I just couldn't justify like the once you milled a piece or you drew a piece, it was kind of like incomplete. Like you really couldn't go into.
And you were no dangers either, right?
No dangers.
No dangers. No desires. No prosperity. I mean, you can't desire with the Sprite stuff, I guess.
I decided to go ahead and pretty much take aspects of Hoban's list and the guy who went undefeated in the Oceanic Regionals.
Yeah, or the Nats.
The Nats,
yeah,
right? Where he played like pure with a bunch of hand traps, and I really like that because I've been seeing, I'm noticing as long as you build a board that doesn't lose to Super Poly and can play around Dark Ruler, and then if you were just to add 1 hand trap to that, it's really, really hard for your opponent to break that board and you lose.
That's fair. I also noticed you're only on the you're not doing just the Jets Smashers, which some people are just doing you like the bigger Sprite engine, which is...
I really do. My end board that I try to end on looks something like... looks something like this. It's something along these lines. This is definitely because in this setup here, along with a Smasher set.
How are you making IP?
Well, you
just
use
extenders?
your Sprite package, your bigger Sprite package. They're just free special summons, free bodies, and then you go into your IP play. And this is usually what I try to end on. And I find that you really do need the extending of the extra Sprite package, even if you're not using the. I really don't use red as an end board because leaving red and elf is literally just doesn't work because they're going to super poly you, and that's two interruptions that you just lost off of that. It's really just to block me from like hand traps or to, block my plays as I'm moving up the ladder, and then in the end of it, I'll go ahead and link it off into a board that can't be super polyable.
Nice.
So that was the idea. I played a lot of opponents that had super poly, and it was very dead against me, just because of the end boards that I was making.
Yeah, like I've noticed everyone just playing around super poly, and it's becoming more and more dead.
You have to play around super poly. I think it's a ridiculous card. You try to put your opponent in a position where they can't play unless they walk into super poly, but you never want to make a board that can't lose to super poly.
You have any questions, Brandon?
Yeah, why no Eradicator? Epidemic virus.
Why
you just
no?
don't feel like you need that on top, or?
My end boards usually end up like this. I could go into Eradicator. I just saw my reasoning was it's a one of, and unless I'm playing Curious, it's really hard to see one ofs. I mean, if I'm playing Curious Griffin, then seeing Floodgate one ofs is great because you can just dump it what you need.
Without dangers, you can't really do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, without the danger stuff, you're not really able to make Curious. I mean, like you can if you squeeze it out, but as soon as you activate any of your Sprite stuff, which gets you to those different types of darks in this deck, you're pretty much locked down to Link and level rank 2s. So because I didn't have the access into the Curious as easily, I decided to just not even play it in that point.
That's fair. Any other questions? No? Well, good shit today. Any shout-outs?
Shout out the Hobby Squad. Shout out everybody at Locals. It's really fun. It was really great.
All right, bro. Congratulations. Peace out, Hobby Squad for life.